Hello and welcome to the Sweaty and the Farmer and the game design, where we fight the most difficult boss in the universe with the Lucho laser. That's right, it's a powerful citric laser that vanishes our enemies. This is episode number 82, Hardcore Forest Encounter. I am the London Game as the Sweaty.
And I am Lucho the Farmer. Thanks for joining us on this episode. This week we move to a new and improved, more difficult play.
My god, is it gonna be hard?
And it's gonna be on the core.
Okay. And before, so we will have in the deep dive this episode, we're gonna talk about how people make the transition from casual to hardcore players and what that entails and what that makes to the games and everything else in between. So, but before we do go into that, I'm gonna read you the disclaimer. The discussion here is based on our opinions and our in-game experiences. Whatever we say here tell you are affected by the way that we play our games and the way that we see them and study them and observe them in the wild, in the forest there, how they grow and mate and everything else. So yeah, that's our disclaimer. If you have different opinions or something like that, you are watching us on YouTube, leave it down in the comments below. Otherwise, put it on our social media accounts everywhere and tell us directly that we are wrong. We will much appreciate it.
We will.
Yeah, and finally, now that you are here with us, seeing our beautiful faces or hearing our sweet voices, don't forget to subscribe. Click the notification bell, leave a like or a comment if you're watching us on YouTube, or do anything social that your platform lets you if you are not, and share this content if you like it everywhere you can in your social media. And yeah, and to all your friends, tell them that you hear a couple of cool guys talking about video games every week, and they have interesting opinions and stuff, and then you like it and you find it entertaining to hearing them ramble about games and the nature of games and the why we play them and why we exist in them and everything else. And this is the best way that you can support us for the show. Did I went too far, Lucho?
Too much.
All right. So, tell me, my friend, why you bring this topic today?
Because of Reddit.
Because of Reddit. Are we
No,
not
so
all here because of Reddit? Yeah.
So no, I was on Reddit.
Yeah,
I
you
came
were.
across this interesting question. It's this person saying that they are an AOTC rider, but that they would like to push into mythic/cutting edge writing in World of Warcraft, and he was asking people how would they go doing that.
So, for those who don't speak World of Warcraft,
I just gave you explanation to where the inspiration came from.
What this person means is like he wants to go from a middle activity, a middle hard activity to the most hardest activities, one of the hardest activities in the game, basically. And he was asking how to make the transition as a gamer from one to the other, because he had no experience or don't know how to do it, right?
Yeah.
And this spark a lot of discussion here. Do you agree how people become casual players and they become hardcore players of a game? What is a hardcore what is a hardcore player? What is a casual gamer? What are casual players, and why people they say that they're bad, but they're not bad. They're just a state of play that exists.
They're bad? Who's saying something is bad?
What?
Who is saying that something is
I
bad?
don't know. People think that casual players are bad when they're hardcore players.
Okay. Sure.
That's what people think. I'm not making the rules. That's what the internet says sometimes. So, who are the casual players? Can we define them? Can we find them in the game accurately every time? You say that we are all casual players?
We all are.
We all are. All right. Explain why we all are casual players.
Because we all are. There is always someone who's more hardcore than us.
All right. Okay.
No?
Well, I think there is a range of play in game of what actually means to be a casual player, right? It's not a thing that is defined by anything inside a game. Like the game, you don't play a game and then the game tells you that you're a casual.
No, that's something
right?
that's clearly community defined.
Yeah, it's a social construct. So what is a casual player is defined by what the community has built around the game and what the community considers a casual player, which can range from anything to anything, to tell you the truth. But if we're gonna put like some kind of pin in it or try to find what a casual player says, one of the first things that the community finds behind a casual player is time investment in the game, right? How much hours do you spend actually doing stuff in the game, right? And
that's a dangerous measure.
yeah, absolutely. But it's one of the first metrics that the community uses to see what is a casual player, right? And then after that, I would say that they start seeing at achievements of game. So if you have clear a raid, if you have done a difficult activity, if you do that weekly, if you have this amount of achievements, or if you don't have this amount of achievements, and that's where you have the range, because you can have like a hardcore, for example, in World of Warcraft, you can have a hardcore auction house player that the only thing that he does is play the auction house and sell and buy items inside the game to make money. And he spends hours and hours in this. So you can confidently name that player a hardcore player inside this activity that he does, because he probably will never do a raid. He probably will never do like a high-end dungeon or a very difficult activity. But compared to the other people who does those things, he's a hardcore player in their own niche. So I see this as a case by case, like a kind of a game by game basis of what a casual player is defined. So I will say that your statement that we are all casual players is kind of right, because we're not.
It's 100% right.
It's 100% right. We are not. None of us are 100%. We can be hardcore in some stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can be competitive, but 100% being a hardcore player is not, unless. And then there is the next question of like, those competitive, like high-paying job competitive esports people are considered hardcore players? You can say yes, because they're paid by what they do. But then again, they can be casual players in other areas, right?
Yeah, but like more than just getting paid because they play is something about like a professional player dedicates its time to getting better at the game. Like
correct. Yeah.
Which is something that casual players don't.
So you will say that we can consider that the standard of a hardcore non-casual player are competitive players that are paid for playing the game.
Again, it's not the payment. It's not necessarily
it's what it entails. I understand, right? It's what it entails. That
yeah,
you have to train into the game every day.
With money.
Yeah.
Because the way that you're phrasing it, it makes it sound that the important thing is getting paid for it. It's like, no, it's
That's
not
the
paid.
important thing. You get money for it. What you do.
If you wanna find it in terms of that, then go ahead.
No. But
I disagree with that.
It's kind of like when you can see it clearly. When like a player is so good that
I know, but
played, right?
I get what you're saying, but you're making emphasis in the money.
Fair enough. All right.
And all I'm saying is, if you are gonna make emphasis in the money, go ahead. But I disagree with that.
All right. So no, the money is not the important thing then.
If you wanna make it, you can. I don't think
of
that's
course.
the
So
case.
it's part of identify kind of a hardcore player, but like in easy terms, right?
Yeah, that's very misleading.
Okay. All right. So, how do you define a hardcore player then? To know that we are all casuals.
I mean, I agree with you. Like what you just said is.
Yeah.
It's basically based on it's a mixture of the time investment and whatever side of the game you're engaged.
Yeah. So the answer
it's mostly
the answer
it's mostly on a not case by case. I mean, it's almost case by yeah.
But the answer to the big question is we are all casual players and sometimes we are hardcore players.
Yeah, sometimes we could be hardcore players.
Sometimes we could be hardcore players. All right. So, yeah. And then the question is, does all games have to have a competitive or hardcore component on them?
Do they?
Do they? The funny thing is, like, I think the answer is not necessarily, but we as humans are so hardwired to competition and feeling the best and that true stuff that we actually made our own hardcore activities, even if they don't exist in the game. So for a developer by this time, it makes sense to have like some kind of like hardcore hive achievement inside the games by now. Right? And I bring this example because I was thinking about this and I was like, oh yeah, of course, all games which don't have necessarily any hardcore kind of side, they put into speedrun community. And then they make it a super hardcore thing because speedrunning is a crazy insane thing when people compete for times in how to run a game as fast as they can. So that's technically a hardcore thing to do, right?
Yep.
Yeah, the speedrun community is crazy. It's crazy. They found bugs. They invest huge amounts of time to get a small gains in time in the game. So technically, all games can have hardcore components, even created by the community, in that effort of like trying to find something really competitive inside the game.
I mean. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'll say more. That is that any game will have a hardcore community.
Any game will have a hardcore community. That and you're saying by putting these very passionate people about the game.
Yeah, it's just this group of people who dedicate their time to find all the how do you say? All all the places where the game breaks, and like this community of people that spends their time into pushing the game mechanics as far as they can.
Yeah.
Even to a point of breaking them.
Yeah, fair enough. So, but what do you prefer? Yeah, go ahead.
No, so I was just gonna say that you'll always find that community in any video game, and for that specific video game, that will be the marker for what it means to be like a competitive, I guess, player. No matter if the game has or not, like a competitive component to it.
All right, fair enough. So what will you prefer at the end? Like an actual purposely designed hardcore activity in a game, or competitive activity in a game, or just leave it to the community to make one?
I don't prefer anything. I have no personal preference.
You have no personal
in the
preference.
matter. Yeah, I mean, why would I prefer one or the other?
I don't know. I'm just asking if you prefer like an actual constructed where the game is telling you, all right, yeah, this is the competitive mode or hardcore mode / thing. Or just make it like the community saying like, oh yeah, the most hardcore thing that you can do in this game is this, speedrun it, or run this thing at this difficulty or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think I have any real preference.
Yeah.
Do you?
No, I will probably prefer it just because of the clear reward incentive on those activities. Just because it's easier to like see it if it's designed with intention, that the community actually created one and run it.
I don't know. Some of the more interesting like hardcore activities that I have found are, for example, on the Pokemon games.
Yeah.
What are they called? The Nuzlocke challenges.
The what? The what? What?
Yeah, it's basically a set of rules that people impose themselves to clear the Pokemon games.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
It's basically you have to, like, if a Pokemon faints once, it's dead. You cannot use it anymore.
Oh my god! All right. Yeah. It's like it's like Dark Souls Pokemon.
You have to give them nicknames.
You have to give.
So you get attached to them.
Okay. Yeah.
You can only capture one per type. You know how in Pokemon the things not type, like in the Pokemon games, the routes have numbers. Basically, certain Pokemon only spam in certain
route 66 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can only capture one Pokemon per route. Like the first one that appears.
Yeah. That's the one that you can capture. Nothing else.
Nothing else.
You can ignore. You have to ignore all the other encounters, or what?
No, you cannot, like, you either flee from their encounters, and you cannot flee, you fight them, but you can only capture the first one that you encounter in that route.
Oh my god, that sounds crazy.
It's very hardcore, but then you see how people come with strategies, like they will capture, sometimes they will be forced to capture useless Pokemons, and then they will put them on the team as like meat fodder that they're gonna get killed.
My god, okay.
it's like it results in this very interesting I guess metagaming around how people do play and how people do optimize.
Yeah. Sounds super interesting.
And I find that very interesting. It's not like, it's completely community driven. It's nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there is this thing that we should mention, is that a lot of different competitive factors of games that are like assumed now came in from like community driven initiatives and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, community driven.
So that's what I'm saying, that I don't really have a preference, because there are some very interesting, like the community effort can give rise to many interesting scenes, like competitive scenes that have very interesting components. So
I kind of do. I will say that I do have a preference. I do like the ones driven by the, oh my god, we have thunder around here. Yeah, driven by the games, because I do like organized plays organized play in general in competitive games, so kind of like that side of competitive play. But that's my preference. I do like organized play in that what are the divisions.
It can be organized by the community.
I know, but I like it when the official thing is, and it gives it a little bit more, at least for me, a little bit more of properness, to put it in some way.
Properness.
Yeah, like, yeah. Yes? What is the like it's like when something is proper good, like something is nice. I don't know how to put it.
Neither other technology.
Nobody knows, my friend. Nobody knows. But anyway, so no, I insist. Not all the games have this component. It's interesting when the developers do it properly in terms of rewards and what to expect when you're going into a game. But it's also interesting the things that the community does. And on the long run, generally, if the things that the community does become super popular, they just articulate into the game, right?
Not all the time.
Like, not all the time, but if they're so big and so popular, they try on some way to give them support. Not necessarily putting it into the game all the time, but they kind of give like kind of some kind of recognition or something like that. Wasn't that like? Isn't that like how the rate words first works? Or it started? Like just a bunch of clans organizing to see who can clear the raid first after release.
That's still the case.
Yeah, and then after that it becomes recognized, and there's some games that support the races with actual prizes.
I mean, if you're talking about World of Warcraft, then no.
I'm talking about in general. I'm talking about Destiny. I'm talking about 14. Destiny 2 have a huge support for the first raid clears races things.
Yeah, that's Destiny.
Yeah, I'm giving an example. I'm not talking about like one game in particular.
Okay, sure. Like some games can do it, but I don't know where you're going with this. I don't know what point are you trying to show with your example.
That I feel like is more interesting when, in terms of reward, is more interesting when the actual creators build a hardcore activity because of the rewards, because it's intentional. But
again, for example, I find the world first raid for World of Warcraft more interesting than the Destiny 2, and Blizzard offers basically no support for the race. Right, the race is a completely community-driven event.
Yeah. I find more interesting the Destiny 2 ones in terms of the rewards, because the belt is super cool. And there's stuff on the line beyond the recognition of having a first world crate. It will give you a belt and the recognition of putting the name. It was the same in the Division 2 raid when they say that the first clear will be immortalized into the White House. And it's still there.
Yeah, but sure, I still find the World of Warcraft raid more interesting. I don't know. Like,
I find it more interesting when there's like an interesting reward behind it.
Okay, yeah, sure. That's completely a non-factor for me.
Yeah.
And I won't consider that in this discussion, because that's
all right. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Non-factor for me.
And I feel that is more. And the other thing is, I feel is more recognizable when there is a clear intention from the developers to make a competitive side of your game, right? And we're not talking about purely competitive games. We'll get to that, but yeah, it's more interesting when the developer goes with an intention in terms of how he can articulate with what the community does. For me, that's more interesting.
Sure, but that somehow feels like you're devaluing the things that the community can come up on itself that are not supported.
I'm not devaluing it. My opinion is I like it when it has.
You're saying that it's more interesting to you. That implies that the ones that are not intentionally
that's correct. That's my opinion.
Are less interesting.
Yeah, that is my opinion.
Which means
it's
that they're
not
least
the last
valuable
word
to you. Yeah, which means that they're least valuable to you.
You can put in a list of most valuable. Okay.
That's what you just told me. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So.
But what I'm saying is that you shouldn't use that measure you cannot use that to measure the discussion that you're gonna have, because that's a personal opinion.
No, it's a personal thing. Yeah. We're not gonna say like that if a developer put a hardcore,
because that's how you're making it sound.
No. Of course. Yeah. I'm not saying that if a developer put a hardcore thing inside the game with intention is better or worse than the one that he did. Yeah.
But that's how you were making it sound.
Well, I'm making the clarification that that's not the case. It's my opinion that I like more things that are with intention. Doesn't demerit the rest of things like the community creates. Yes? All right, cool. All right, so are the developers interested into making casual players into hardcore ones? Well, the general answer is yes, because they want a highly engaged part of your community into the game that in this day and age gives you like free promotion and free testing grounds and a bunch of and good feedback, and that kind of pushes your game to the limit and sees where the cracks. So I will say that in general, yes, you want a kind of hardcore players, no matter what exactly the activity hardcore they're doing. If it's speed running or competitive or something like that, but you do want a hardcore player, and that makes your game a little bit more attractive, because it puts this perspective into other players that the game is interesting to the point that there is this community who is doing something very difficult in it all the time, right? That they are engaged all the time. That gives them that kind of man, what was the word I'm looking for? English is hard. That kind of prestige of a game in a way, and you can use those hardcore players to do promotions, and if you want to do tournaments and that side of things, to promote your game with these very dedicated players to showcase. So yeah. And in the other side, in the competitive, like pure competitive game side, I like it because that means that the game has a very strong competitive base where to pull from in case that you decide to make a big tournament push inside your game, if you're doing a competitive game, of course. So you can have all these player base of when you can organize some divisions and you can have like these big tournaments and different leagues and that sort of stuff, like League of Legends or like Overwatch, when you have like sub-leagues and that sort of stuff, kind of closer to what sports does, when you have the people who play in the streets and then the people who play in college and everything else in between. So yeah, what do you think about that?
Sure. I have no strong opinions of the fact.
So absolutely yes, the in any situation having a hardcore base in your game is beneficial. Sometimes sometimes it's not. Yeah.
No, I see the incentives to do it. I don't know if it's beneficial.
You see the incentives to this and what?
But I don't know if it's beneficial 100% of the time.
Yeah, I will say 80% of the time, because of course those players are going to be your hardest critics and they're going to demand a bunch of things and they're going to be your loudest voices, and that could be a different thing about like community management and that sort of stuff, and I'm not very good at that. or not. And I don't know much about that, about like community managing and all that sort of stuff. So on the general side, 80%.
I don't know. Just those numbers pulled out of your ass.
What else do you want me to say?
I don't know. I'm just saying that you're pulling numbers out of your ass. That's all I'm saying.
I will say 80% yes, you want hardcore player base. Probably 100% yes, you want a hardcore player base because of all the reasons that I already listed. To keep your game alive, part of it. But I don't know, there's like recent studies which says that casual players are the ones who keep your game alive. So, but I still feel that hardcore players have like an important role to play in terms of promotion and that sort of stuff. What?
Sure. but marketing is not what keeps your game alive.
Marketing is not what keeps. Yes, this been demonstrated. It's an important factor, but it's not what keeps your game alive. You're right. Yeah. But if
that's especially true for like game as service.
For game what?
As services.
Game as services. Yeah. Yeah, I think yes. If I was a developer, if I am a developer and I'm doing a game, competitive or otherwise, I would like to have some hardcore player base.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. It'd be convenient for promotion and stuff.
Again, you're saying, there are good incentives to do it. That doesn't mean that it's beneficial all the time.
Yeah, you're right. I agree with you.
Sure. The developers have incentives to nurture like a competitive community. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Is that beneficial for the game in the long term all the time? That I don't think so. But.
Yeah. And the other,
that's a different question.
Yeah, the other thing that I was thinking about in this question was, is this absolutely necessary for highly competitive games to have a very hardcore community beyond creating your own kind of esports show?
Elaborate. I don't know where you're going with that.
My question, like, what I was thinking is like, all right, if I have a big competitive game, right? You know what I'm saying, like League of Legends, Valorant, something like that. Is having a high hardcore player / competitive professional player absolutely necessary for the well-being of my game?
Depends on the game. Sometimes
I did tell you, if you have a highly competitive game.
Again, it depends on the game.
A highly competitive game, League of Legends, Valorant, CSGO, any of those?
I don't know.
Yeah, is it absolutely necessary to have a very hardcore? It is super beneficial in case that you can like promote your game through tournaments and make it like more prestigious, selling you the dream that you can be a pro, because that's a lot of selling points in a lot of highly competitive games. The dream that you can climb through the ranks and becomes like and became like.
I don't think that's a selling point anymore.
Yeah, it's the same thing as a lot of highly competitive esports games do this. It's the same thing as traditional sports. It's something that
but what I'm saying is that I don't think that's the case anymore.
Why you say that?
Because I don't think people getting into new games are thinking about going professional as gamers more than becoming streamers or something like that. There is probably more money in streaming in the long run than just being a professional.
Oh, I see where you're going. Okay, but you still.
I don't think I keep getting into Valorant now. Just thinking about becoming a professional Valorant player more than becoming probably like a professional streamer.
But those are like, well, no, it is already. We already know that to be a very good streamer in a competitive game, you don't necessarily have to be a very good player.
Yeah, no, you don't. You have to be entertaining.
Yeah, you have to be entertaining, have like a decent, halfway decent player. Even the
Not
shows.
really. You don't have to. You don't have to halfway. You have to be entertaining.
Yeah, I just remember there shows that there's just like very bad player making streams in the game. But that's a hook that a lot of competitive games started using when they were going like big into the esports scene, like trying to sell you that dream of going pro.
Sure,
you think that's not the case
ago.
like right now? Like right now, you think that's not the case?
I think streaming has changed the game.
Okay, fair enough. Is streaming another form of hardcore gaming?
No, streaming is a form of entertainment.
No, but I mean for the player who's streaming it.
No, streaming is just content creation.
Do you consider that the content creators are in themselves hardcore gamers in some shape?
No, they're content creators.
Okay.
There's completely different things.
And what about esports players who became streamers, or vice versa?
Sure.
Or streamers who become esports players?
Both things at once, but they're not one and the same.
What you're saying is like not one requires the other. So to be a big streamer in a game, you don't need to be a hardcore player in that same game. So you don't consider...
Yeah, and you can be a professional player without streaming.
So do you consider Asmongold not a hardcore player in World of Warcraft?
I mean, he is, but not because he streams.
Okay.
Like his stream is not what makes him like a hardcore
Now I get
what player.
Yes.
Again, it has nothing. You're mixing two things that have nothing to do with one another.
Yeah, I'm trying to make a relation. Trying to see if there is a connection. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, there is not. Because again, content creation is about entertaining.
Fair enough. Yes, that is true.
That has nothing to do with playing the game.
All right, fair enough. So, I still think that the answer to this question is 80% yes. You are interested in having a casual...
Stop putting numbers on that.
Let me put numbers.
You're pulling that number out of nowhere.
I want to put numbers. I'm going to tattoo it on my neck. 80% of developers want hardcore players.
Again, no, probably all developers want hardcore games.
Yeah.
I don't think... Like, do all developers want it? Yeah.
Yes.
Do I think it's beneficial in all cases? No.
Not all. Not necessarily.
But do they want it? Yes.
Yes.
Of course they do.
There we go. Yeah. That. Yeah. Yeah. we got there. All right. Is the transition from casual player to hardcore player something that should be encouraged? I think the answer is still yes, because if you don't want all your playlists to be hardcore, but maybe you want it to. If the answer above that, if the developers want hardcore players is yes, why won't you want all your players to be hardcore players and in this insane amount of time on your game, be playing all the time and consuming your content all the time?
Because the players that invest a huge amount of time are not the ones that are investing a huge amount of money.
Not necessarily, yes.
You want people to spend money on your game, not time.
Yeah, you want people to spend money on your game. But that's not the only way to monetize your game. You can always monetize by time played, right? And through publicity and stuff and engagement on your content.
Yeah, but that's not how it works.
That's not what?
That's not how it works. Like, how do you monetize time?
Investing in your game through ads, through driving.
So do you want developers playing ads in their games?
They already do.
Do you want more of that?
No, but I'm just giving an example.
Yeah, but maybe then that's not the answer.
I'm just giving an example. I'm not here to discuss if they should or should not put ads on the game. I'm just giving you an option of how to monetize time investment. And of course, this helps for engagement in case you're selling expansions and selling content inside your game. If all of your players are hardcore, they probably want that content in some way, shape, or form, or they're going to consume it. But you're on an interesting track because that we have some numbers that the industry have studied that the majority of people who spend a lot of money on games are casual players who don't have the time.
People who spend the money are people who have the money because they have job.
Yeah, and don't have the time to get all the things that they wanted. But again, that's driving for that one of being important inside the game, of trying to be like a casual player, a hardcore player, without having the time to be one. But I think the answer is yes on the surface. It's weird, right? I'm not 100% sure of this. Yes, you want your players to be super invested in your game, but that doesn't mean that you want all your players to be hardcore players. You just want to sell them in the idea of become a hardcore player.
The idea of being invested in the game doesn't correlate with the idea of being like a competitive player or a hardcore player.
All right.
Because you can be invested in a game. You can be invested in a franchise.
Yeah.
Without putting all your waking time into a game, and you probably bring more money to a table. For example, you can be invested in Overwatch as a game.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you're ranked or that you have a good ranking or anything like that. But you're still invested and you watch the league and you consume all the advertisement.
Yeah.
You buy skins and all that shit.
Yeah. So
it's different. Like that's all I'm saying. That you can be invested in the game and bring a lot of money for the game
without necessarily having to be a hardcore player per se. But is it important to sell you the idea of being a hardcore player?
As a marketing tool, probably.
Yeah.
But one thing is selling the idea.
Another thing is actually
giving the tools.
Yeah.
To make it easier.
I think that's the answer. I think the answer is you want to sell the idea. But
absolutely.
Yeah, but I don't think that you have to be 100% in, like, as a developer, 100% pushing for all your players to become hardcore players. It
depends on the type of game. Because I will say, if it is a competitive game like I don't know, Overwatch again.
Yeah.
Then probably yes, because you want to have a pool of people to draw from your competition.
Yeah, for divisions.
If the competition is something more on the speedrunning side of things, then doesn't really matter much. Especially because a lot of the speedrunning competitive scene is already outsourced.
Correct. Yeah.
So you don't really like the competitive scene, like the speedrunning scene doesn't live on each game. It lives on third-party sites that curate all the speedrunning.
Yeah, that's correct.
Stuff.
Yeah, that's correct.
So the developers have no incentive to support those things. It exists and you can do it. No one is telling you don't do it, but when you develop it, you don't really care about the support.
So you will say yes if you are a competitive game, and not so much if you are kind of a normal. If you have less competitive factors. If you're a purely competitive game, yes, you want this to happen, to have a pool for your tournaments and divisions and all
Also,
that
probably
stuff.
more of a PvP game. You want a pool of players.
Yes.
It's not about. It's like with the way that you're phrasing it, you're implying that speedrunning is less competitive than PvP game.
Okay, it's not. It's not less competitive. Yeah. It's not less competitive.
If you wanna die on that hill, go
Yeah.
alone. Bro. That's not happening here.
All right. So, all right. But to the question is, to answer the question is, if you are a purely competitive game and you are designed with intention to be a purely competitive game with tournaments and also stuff, you want more of your player base to become hardcore players.
Yeah, probably.
Right.
You probably want to provide a clearer avenue.
Yeah. Otherwise, you can take it or leave it, right?
Yeah, and there are a lot of in-between places.
Yeah. Correct. And by the numbers, by the numbers, if you are a game as a live service, you are more interested in a vast majority of your players to be casual, for it to drive revenue and that sort of stuff.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, by the numbers that we've seen, but you still want to sell them in the idea of being a hardcore player.
Yeah, of course.
I think that was hard. All right. And what happens to a community when a lot of players transition from a casual to a hardcore player base? What effects does it have over the community, this kind of niche? There is a thing, I was thinking like maybe it creates a bunch of fragmentations inside the community, that in a lot of like niches and places, and you have like hardcore raiders in World of Warcraft, and we have like this corner of the community, and only if you this clear, then you can enter our community, and we have these requisites that we consider that you are a hardcore raider game player. And as a developer, it's a thing that you should be aware of, that is going to create fragmentation inside the community. I don't think this is a thing that you can stop.
No, you can stop it.
Yeah.
It's just that's just what's gonna happen.
That is just what's gonna happen, and it happens everywhere in all types of games. You have like hardcore raiding community, hardcore dungeons community, hardcore speedrun communities, and they all live in their own different bubble, and they all have a relationship with the game different to all the other things. Which is the other thing that I was thinking about this, and it was in terms of developer, when this happened, you have to be super aware when you start collecting feedback from your community, if you are a long-term build game, like a live service or an MMO or something like that, because you always want to have that feedback loop of like your community tells you kind of where they want the game to go, and then you have your idea where you want your game to go, and reconcile that those things are difficult. So you kind of want to be aware that if you have a hardcore specialized thing inside your community, you want to know where this feedback is coming from to know how to take it if you have a fragmented community in those terms, right? Because of course what the very hardcore rating, super extreme hardcore player who likes to rate feedback is going to give you is probably nothing like the normal casual dude or like the hardcore dungeon dude is going to give you. So you have, the important thing about this is like you as a developer have to be very aware if your community is fragmented. In that case, I think that I will prefer to have those very clear terms for this purpose of like knowing, like give them their own spaces, right? If I build a game that has like raids and dungeons, right? have inside of my own community like a place where the hardcore dungeoneers and raider people can go and exchange the feedback. So for me, it's clearer when I'm getting feedback, where is the feedback coming from? Because if you let it naturally happen, sometimes those lines are not that clear. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, but
Yeah.
you can never. I mean, that's what forums are.
Yeah.
Like if you're not.
Yeah, I'm describing a
Heavily
forum. You
invested
should have a
in a
good
game.
forum.
Yeah, but that's. I mean, if you don't like, if you as a player are not heavily invested in a game, you
Yeah.
will never go to a forum.
Yes.
Post or
Yes.
something.
It's
It's too much trouble.
Yes. But there's some games that make it easier to have this kind of relationship with those spaces that actually point you to tools to use them. Like there's sometimes like, if you're interested in doing this, you can go and check this forum or some things like that. Yeah.
Sure, I see what you're saying, but I don't know. In terms of feedback, also, it's. I'm pretty sure it's also true that most of the feedback that you get are from the
Loudest
you have to
voices.
temper down most of the feedback that you get, because
Yeah.
the people who are gonna give you feedback are the people who are the most invested. So most often than not, their opinions are gonna be biased one way or another. Like you rarely hear the feedback of a guy who's it's okay. You will never hear that feedback.
Yeah.
No, you will hear the extremes. Everything
Yeah,
is
like
amazing.
I was
everything
doing
is
this
trash.
activity and this happened to me and I want you to change because it's convenient for this very extreme thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's usually like I'm pretty sure that's most of the feedback that you get. So you have to temper those out.
Yeah. How much importance you should give to a hardcore community in terms of feedback for your game? That's the other question. Like we have seen a lot of discussions of a lot of games when they're like making changes and that sort of stuff. Like who do they exactly want to hear? And like you remember there was a discussion in World of Warcraft about like all these patches and things they just coming from because of the dungeon raids that were recently or this raid problem and that sort of stuff, right? So the question is like, how much should you want to hear those very hardcore players?
It's probably more than how much. It's just where do you want to hear that feedback? Because for example, in World of Warcraft, the tuning of the raid encounter.
Yeah.
Definitely they take feedback from like cutting edge raiders and stuff like that.
Correct. Yeah.
Not only like people on the race, but like just mythic raiders in the community.
Yeah.
They definitely invite those players into raid testing and they want their feedback. But it's very like it's for example very specific feedback about tuning the encounter and or the same thing happens with for dungeon testing. Like they invite people who are who participate on the MDI or people who have very high log keys and stuff like that. They invite them for like dungeon testing and affix tuning and stuff like that. So they clearly want their feedback for tuning the activity itself.
Yeah.
But for example, when you're talking about greater balancing, like rewards and pacing, then you have to be more careful with the feedback.
Yeah, because they do it a lot in competitive games when they invite like their pros and very hardcore game players in the community to make changes or adjustments in patch and that sort of stuff.
Because you want to hear the feedback from the people who know the game the better, like the most from the player perspective.
Yeah.
But again, one thing is just like tuning out a sandbox.
Yeah.
Then adjusting the overall meta reward
for the game, of course.
Structure of the game.
So you have to choose where exactly to use it, because we have two examples of like very hardcore players that end up working inside the games that they are hardcoring for.
Yeah.
Right. We have examples of that too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think that's important of the impact of the community when you have like a very hardcore side of the game, right? You will have fragmentations, and you have to watch it carefully in terms of get a good community manager that helps you. I don't know about this. I will probably get if one of my games end up being like so big that I end up with fragmentation, I'll probably hire community managers.
If one of your games end up being successful, maybe you should learn about community management, because you'll have to do it.
I probably learned some, but I don't feel that passionate about the subject.
That's not here nor there.
Yeah, I probably have to learn some, but I will go out of my way to do. I don't think so. I have to do so. I will do it. If I can like hire a professional that manages for me, better. Anyway, so
but you don't have the resources all the time.
Yeah, probably no. So I'll probably have to do it myself and be paid. Anyways. So, how these games lure player into this hardcore competitive scene? How they attract them? How they sell them the idea that one day they will be number one, the very best that ever was, and they capture all the Pokemon. How do they sell you in this? The promise of you being a better player.
You tell me.
I tell you. All right, how do they do it in World of Warcraft? Do they do it in World? I think the community is the one that sells you to go in to be a hardcore player. Right?
I mean, all the game really does is that it offers. I mean, it both offers achievements that you can only get for a certain period of time.
Yeah.
That will disappear if you don't. If, for example, all the feats of strength that are basically related with clearing content when it's current at its highest difficulty, and if you don't complete it while the content is current, that achievement will go away. And sometimes you will have mounts or titles tied to it, so like things to show off.
All right, yeah. Through rewards is one way to actually like actual in-game rewards.
But that's one, like that type of thing, like that type of achievement is not exactly a reward, because if we are talking about World of Warcraft, there are actual rewards, like there's actual loot and the best type of loot.
Of course, yeah. So more of like actual prestigious rewards.
Yeah, like things tied to prestige are tied into it that you cannot attain. And on the other hand, there's definitely loot. Like, for an RPG, just the highest quality of loot is tied to the most difficult activities.
Yeah, of course. So, but
that's as much as they do.
Yes, that is the extent of what Warcraft does to sell you this. The rest is the community telling you like, you should be better or something like that. There is the community through all the community programs that they have, the World First Race, the competitive dungeon scene, which is kind of crazy.
The NDI is held by Blizzard.
Yeah. So
You
they
could
actually
argue-
took that and they do the actual dungeon running.
You could argue that. You could also for like the arena.
Yeah, the PvP thing. Yeah, you're
International?
right. They have a
That's
PvP
also
thing.
held by Blizzard.
Yeah, they have a proper PvP tournament, right? You're right.
They have many proper PvP.
So they like World of Warcraft is like closer to a true competitive game, but they can. I feel like they do this with the time because of the community, right? The majority of this effort has been brought in from the community, like the competitive PvP and the competitive dungeon running and that sort of stuff, right? They just like make it kind of more official.
No, the Mythic Dungeon that was born from Blizzard because that just came to happen when our Mythic tiers became a thing.
Yeah, because the Mythic Dungeon was intentionally kind of constructed to be sort of PvE competitive, right? Because of how now the activity is made into the game.
I mean, it's a speedrunning activity, so
Yeah. Basically, a spin ring. Yeah, you're right. And yeah, no, the tools. So that's a perfect example of like
but that's
actual intentional activity to put there for competitive.
yes,
PvE.
but that's also a modern addition to a game.
Yes, like what was in
Probably Legion.
Legion, right? It was introduced, right? So that's what,
Yeah,
5 years ago, something like that.
yeah, something 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
That's that one. PvP just began as like just casual, or not casual, but like random PvP stuff.
Yeah.
And Blizzard slowly added arenas and ratings and
Slowly integrated. Yeah.
and slowly developed that competitive ladder
Scene, yeah.
for
Why do you think they haven't had a hand into the raid race as Destiny did?
So what do you want Blizzard to?
Well, you say that Blizzard has nothing to do with the Warfare's race, right?
No, they don't.
Right. Why do you think they haven't? Why do you think they haven't like acquired that as they did with PvP?
Oh, it doesn't make financial sense.
It doesn't make money. That's what you're saying.
No, like you'll hold MDI tournaments all year because that's happening all the time.
Yeah.
The World First Race happens a couple of times a year. Same for PvP. You can hold PvP tournaments anytime.
I see what you're saying. So it's because, but
There is no good incentive, and it's well run by the community.
fair enough. What does Destiny 2 does it? I think that because they have like more raids throughout the year.
No, because that's why do they do it? I have no idea. I think there is no good reason to do it.
All right, fair enough. Okay. All right.
Like it's like, to me it looks like pandering, that they were copying something that World of Warcraft was doing, or that MMOs were doing.
Fair enough. Yeah, that could be the reason. Yeah.
That's why they advertise it and put it forward, because they are copying something that already existed.
Man, there's nothing wrong with copying stuff that works, that is prestigious. So there you go.
Yeah, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but you're asking me why do they have a hand at it? Because they are copying something, they're promoting it on their own.
And when you think about that, like, the PvP Destiny 2 thing, which lives in this weird limbo between being competitive and not being competitive, and they try to make it competitive but not truly make it competitive. That's what I feel about the PvP. About the PvP. I'm talking about like the Trial of Osiris thing, and that a lot of Destiny players play Destiny because of the PvP component.
That's fine.
Even if there is like not the only half serious hardcore side of it is playing the competitive playlist, quote unquote, or playing a Trial of Osiris for the flawless thing. Do you think they want to make a push to make it that side of Destiny? For me, it doesn't make any sense because that side of PvP of Destiny has a bunch of things that won't work in a competitive first-person shooter scene.
In your opinion?
In my opinion, yeah. It's my opinion. It's not the facts. It's my opinion. But they kind of are trying. They now have a problem of cheaters that they're trying to fix with the help of
but the cheater
Riot
problem
Games.
has nothing to do with being competitive. It's a problem for the game.
Yeah. But I don't know. What do you think is the intention behind all this thing in PvP Destiny 2? Are they trying to make it an actual competitive side of the game?
No.
Because in Destiny, the only competitive thing that we have is the world first race.
I mean, the rated PvP is competitive. It has an elo system. You lose.
Yeah, it has an elo system. You're right. Yeah, you're right.
That's competitive. I don't know what you're talking about.
That is technically competitive.
Not technically, it is competitive.
All right, that is competitive, but it's weird because I don't know. They don't articulate themselves like the normal way that other competitive.
What
shooters,
do you mean? That is weird.
That they don't have a big tournaments or league or something.
Why is that a requirement?
No, it's not a requirement. I just feel that is that I haven't seen anything.
It
like
doesn't
that.
have to. It doesn't have to have that.
Like the majority of first-person shooters have some kind of way, like Call of Duty and Valorant and CS:GO.
Yeah, but those games have nothing else to go for them.
Call of Duty,
again, Destiny has more things around Destiny.
Yeah, you're right.
Valorant is just that. So you need to put more things.
Yeah.
CS:GO has a campaign, sure, but it's pretty much just that.
Will Destiny benefit for having like that part of it in their game?
Oh, that is a different question.
Yeah.
I think it could. I don't see why not.
You have like a proper big like Destiny 2 PvP tournament stuff.
Yeah, I think you could benefit from that for sure.
Man. Yeah, I've seen a lot of it interests me a lot because Destiny 2 is such a unique thing in the gaming industry right now that can have that kind of opportunity. And and I was thinking about like, how did they do it? And at some point I was like, they probably will have to separate very much the PvP side from the PvE side, which I don't know if it worked for them.
Or do that and you just hold a tournament as is.
Yeah, or you put like some
what's the
rules
problem with that?
Or you put some like weird rules or something like that, or like a standardization of loadouts for a tournament.
Why can't you do it like
it is? Because it is not fair or balanced in terms of Destiny.
What makes it fair of balance?
To have all the players in the same playing field, like all the other first-person competitive games that exist.
Yeah, but again, elaborate. I don't know what you mean by fair or balance in this.
I mean that Destiny have all these RPG factors, right? Yeah. That makes the PvP not completely balanced, right? Some guns have a lot of bullet magnetism, and you can put more bullet magnetism. And I'm talking about actually curving bullets to hit people.
Sure.
some classes have stronger PvP setups than other classes. If you have a better, if you are in a competitive scene and somebody have a better role than you, then they have a huge advantage over you at the moment of the encounter. So it's not how dexterous are you with the game, but that's how good your luck is to get certain equipment, rolls, and that includes the armor too.
That's also true for Valorant. Like a lot of the edge in what's the name of these games? In these battleground type of games, is luck is where you land.
But Valorant is not I haven't talked about like battle royale games.
Yeah, but they are competitive.
Ah, okay.
Are they fair?
I know what you mean. All right, but the advantage is random.
Yeah.
Right? In Destiny, you can have a purpose advantage that sometimes your enemy, your competitor cannot.
But if you're gonna get into a competitive side, you will grind for it.
Okay. Now I know where you're going.
If you're gonna get into a competitive side, you're gonna go with any random loadout. No.
Now I know where you're going. All right.
So is it fair? Like what you're telling me is, will everyone end up playing the same build? Yeah, probably. Yeah. Is that balanced? Yeah, I mean everyone's gonna be playing pretty much the same thing. And that's what you see in the usual playlists, is people using the same guns with the same builds.
All right, yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Is it balanced? That's what I'm asking you. What do you mean by balance? Like, is the game overall balanced? You can make an argument that the game overall is not balanced because not all things are viable. But if you're going into competitive PvP, you do what you have to.
You go with, okay, yeah, I get that. All right, yes, you're right. You're right.
Is that's true for PvP in any RPG game?
Yeah, you're right. Yes, that was the thing. Yeah, the old RPGs with PvP, where what thing is considered balanced or not when you're going to PvP, and some people destroy you because it's not. It's a crazy argument. It's a difficult argument, but it's like, oh, you want to have a competitive PvP, but other games gives you like more fair things where you don't need to grind that much, but you have to have in mind that this is still an RPG and not a purely competitive game, right? That's
reducing the grind doesn't make it more fair.
Yeah.
Less fair. It's just you have to invest time before getting into.
Yeah, no, what I mean is like
you
the
can
distinction.
You can be in favor or against that you have to invest time in the game before getting into
the PvP competitive. Compare with other titles that you don't have to invest that much. You only have to invest time in the game argument. to get good in the game, but like those RPGs, PvP just make it harder when you have to have double investment, that you have to invest time in the game to get good.
Yeah, but that's a different question. That has nothing to do with is the game balanced. I mean, it's as balanced as you'll have to grind your stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's like no one in an RPG with PvP or that goes into PvP in an RPG is thinking, oh, I have a suboptimal build. I'm gonna destroy. I expect through pure kill to destroy everyone.
Yeah.
No, because it's still an RPG game.
Okay.
I don't know. Like,
I see. Yeah.
So, and I know that we have discussed this before. It's like, should you get rid of all the RPG elements? Then go play
Valorant,
Counter-Strike,
CS:GO. Yeah. Yeah, Counter-Strike. Yeah.
If we are making the argument for RPGs.
Yes.
If we're not talking about RPGs, then it's a completely different discussion.
Fair enough. All right. What about Overwatch 2? How do they lure casual player into hardcore players? They made an entire league with tons of publicity and recognizable players and different divisions, the same as League of Legends did, the same as CS:GO global offensive. The same as StarCraft 2 did, right? All those creating like very typical esports structures where I think the most interesting thing of this is like to create proper divisions, to give a space to sell that idea to everybody. You know what I mean?
No.
I mean like giving you the opportunity to all your player base to feel like they're going into a like they're getting closer to that idea of being a true competitive game, right? And I mean for the success that was Clash in League of Legends. And what is Clash in League of Legends is inside tournament, mini tournament on the game. So with a bracket and everything else that they do every 2 weeks, something like that, right? And they give huge boosts to the game because they're selling you that idea that if you can trump here in Clash inside your own bubble, you have the opportunity to begin from here with this mini tournament. Maybe you're closer to be a great League of Legends player, right? That's the idea that you're selling to your casual player base, so they keep playing and trying to be a hardcore one, right?
Okay.
I think that's one of the strategies. What do you think about that? What do you think about the Overwatch strategy with the big tournaments and everything else? And why do you think they're now bringing a PvE component into the game? Did the big tournament strategy didn't work? Like putting aside there was a claimer about people wanted to play more of the lore of Overwatch.
I don't know. For Overwatch.
Yeah, because it's one of the only competitive play that you play more than any of the others.
Yeah, but I didn't really care about the competitive.
You never care about the competitive scene?
I mean, not in those games. I don't care really.
All right. What competitive hardcore scene do you actually care about and wanted to get into?
Probably Mythic Dungeons in World of Warcraft is the closest thing.
Mythic Dungeons of World of Warcraft. All right. How is it effective? So for you, was it effective the way that they sell you that activity and you have to get into a competitive place there?
They didn't have to sell me the activity. I just like the activity.
Yeah, that's the other component, right? If you like the game, of course. Logic says that yes, you'll be down for some competitive taste of that activity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like me personally, I won't get into anything that I don't enjoy doing.
Yeah.
So
have you ever enjoyed a purely competitive game?
What's a purely competitive game?
I mean a purely PvP game. League of Legends, Overwatch.
Again, that's misleading. Like the only purely competitive games are not only PvP games.
All right, then you give me an example.
Of what?
Of a purely competitive game that you like.
That I like
to play.
Oh, I don't like my competitive games.
Do you ever like one?
No.
Okay.
What do you want from me?
I'm just asking.
Yeah, no.
I'm just asking. No, it's not. I'm not forcing you to. That is bad or wrong. Not like any competitive game. It's fine. Like nobody's forcing you.
Yeah.
But do you like leaderboard competition? Because that's kind of closer to what the dungeon runs are. You against the machine, basically.
I don't. Sure, but I don't know where you're going with this.
I'm just asking.
I don't know what your point is.
My point is, that I was just curious about it.
What does that have anything to do with what we were talking about?
I don't know. So I was like, oh yeah, maybe you like to try any of these competitive games, so you can like speak more extensively about it. But you can give your opinions without liking them, I guess.
I mean, I don't care about competing with people.
Against people or with people.
In any way.
Any situation. All right. You don't like to compete in general.
Not really.
There you go. Yeah. All right. So, to finish this deep dive, we are all casual players. Yes, we all benefit from having hardcore player bases. And yes, a lot of games sells you the dream to be a hardcore player. Yeah?
That sounds right.
That sounds like the conclusion of this episode. So now we move to our audience questions and feedback. Remember, if you want to tell us our opinion and asking any questions that they're not like bad questions, I don't know. You can leave it down in the comments if you're watching us on YouTube, or you can write us to any of our social media accounts with your burning desires / doubts / existential crisis. If we can fix it here, we will try. So, our questions for this week are: what games are you guys excited to come out on what's left of the year?
What's left of the year?
Yeah, we're halfway through the year, my friend.
I don't know which things are supposed to come.
Well, we got the Elden Ring, Lost Ark. We got Gears Frontline 2.
That probably won't come out this year. Probably come out next year.
We have... that's what's been announced big for what is left of this year. Do you have anything on your radar for this? For what is left of this year?
That's what I'm thinking. I don't think so.
The next Destiny expansion that I don't think will come out this year.
Yeah, and even that I'm not excited about.
Are you excited about anything?
Oh, many things, but not game releases.
Oh. See, you have nothing in your gaming radar that you're excited to come out.
Not this year.
Not this year. So what do you have for like the future then, or next year?
For next year, I mean, I expect Gears Frontline 2 to come out next year. That's exciting.
Yeah.
I don't know what else.
Nothing else.
I mean, nothing that I would remember, really.
All right, fair enough.
If I don't remember it, then I'm not that excited.
Fair enough. Nice for you. For me, I think Lost Ark was a release that I was waiting for a long time since I saw the gameplay from Korea. It looks super interesting. Elden Ring is another experience that I want to see. Unfortunately, I was waiting for God of War Ragnarok to come out this year, but they delayed it for next year, so that's sadness. What else though I'm waiting for this year? Yeah, besides that, nothing else really. Right?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't even know if I'm excited for something really is coming out soonish.
Soonish, yeah.
Like in the next year of time, like like in the next.
We have a bunch of things in our sites like Overwatch 2, Diablo 4.
Oh no, I guess Endwalker would be for me.
Endwalker, yeah, there you go. The next fantasy expansion. There you go. He's hyped for Endwalker. There you go. That's coming this year.
Yeah, November 26th, apparently.
There you go. He even knows the date.
Yeah, I know the date.
There you go. That's why he's
Because
excited. The next.
That one is exciting.
Yeah, the last, not the last, but the last 14 expansion of this story that they're currently going through.
Yeah.
Right. There you go. All right, and our second question of this week is, how do you guys choose your topics? We close our eyes, give 3 spins, throw a dart into a wall, and then we go out.
No, I navigate through Reddit. And I probably just read a lot of posts and see if one of those can spark an interesting discussion or something that I will think is interesting.
We check the internet for inspiration, basically. We go.
I check Reddit for inspiration.
You check Reddit for inspiration.
I don't know. I don't think that qualifies as the internet.
All right. Does Reddit doesn't qualify as the internet? It is in the internet.
It is in the internet,
Yeah.
but it's not the internet.
Is it the internet? Yeah.
No, it's not.
I do check 4 or 5 sites for my news, but sometimes it's easy, like this week. I was just like, a big event happened. Yeah, we covered that.
I just keep an eye on Reddit. I get notifications on my phone, so if I find something during the week that I think, this would make an interesting discussion, I'll keep tags on that. Otherwise, I'll just spend a couple of hours surfing the Reddit black hole. Or that, or forums of the games that I follow closely.
Yeah, there you go.
That usually is more. That usually gives rise to narrower discussion.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I check the newspapers, basically. That's how I choose the news, because that's how I do it.
Sometimes I send you news if I see them.
Yeah, sometimes he does send me news, like, I want to cover this. That is true. Yeah. He sometimes
I see something on my feed that I think, that's interesting.
That's super cool. We should discuss it. Yeah. Sometimes he sends me news. That is true. Yeah, sometimes it's just like summer phase happen, and probably next week we'll cover whatever is coming from E3.
Don't expect anything from Overwatch.
Yeah. I felt personally attacked.
It was a personal attack.
Is there even an apology? Oh my god. Okay. All right. Okay. I think we're done here.
That's all for this week's episode. Once again, thanks for tuning in into Sweaty the Farmer and the Game Design. My name is Lucho, and you can find me on Twitter at LuchoPolanco.
And I am the Lone Name Gamer, and you can find me on Twitter at the Lone Name Gamer, and on Twitch on twitch.tv/Lone Name Gamer, where I stream. Sometimes follow me on your social media to know when I'm going live. Don't forget to share, like, subscribe, do everything social that you can. Share this content through your internet, sharing this content through your social media accounts if you have any. Share this content with your friends, your parents, whoever can listen and want to hear an interesting discussion about games and game design and existential dread about game design. Everything else. So yeah, that's the best way that you can support us in this show, to share it with everybody that you can. And thanks for coming to the Sweaty the Farmer and the Game Design. See you next time.
Bye.
And did you know lulo are often eaten raw? The fruit cut in half, salted, and the pulp squeezed out and rinds discarded. They are most commonly used for making juice. Lulos can be made into jams, jellies, and sauces. The pulp is used as a filling in baked goods, often paired with bananas, and for making ice cream, sherbet, or sorbet. I've never had actual fruit like the lulo eaten from the fruit. Have you ever eat lulo from the actual fruit?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Anytime.
Is it not too citric, acidic?
It's very tart.
It's very tart.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
To put it simply, lulo is a fruit that looks like orange, has an inside that resembles a tomato, and tastes like a citrus tart. Some people also describe the flavor like a mix of lime and rhubarb. It's outside it's orange in color, but its inside is light green, dark yellow.
It's a very weird fruit, man.
It's very tasty. I really like it.
It's there is nothing like it. I will argue to say, like the lulo fruit is super tasty. It's one of my favorite fruits. No questions asked. But
I really, really like it.
yeah, and I've eaten like ice cream is marvelous. I've eaten some jellies. It's amazing. I've never had it purely as a fruit. I feel like it's too acidic. It's like in lime.